today's cup of coffee, and I had to put the warnings beforehand. If you've already made it to this point, you know that we have a disturbing image on here.
Yeah.
So, this comes from Mirror and is by Michael Havis and Charlie Jones, April the 12th of 2023. And I forgot to put my reading glasses on. So, it inhibits me to sit here and go, I don't have it in Braille. It says a farmer was given the shock of her life when she found out that one of her cows was struggling to give birth, as it had a two-headed mutant calf struggling to be delivered. Leslie Hunwell,
Leslie Jones,
who was watching over the cows at her family ranch in the U.S. state of Nevada, noticed a heifer about to deliver its first calf, but it soon became clear that the animal was struggling. Ms. Hinwell, it could be Hinwell, 38, said, quote, examining her, a head and the front legs were in the birth canal, and the calf did not feel too large for the heifer to birth on her own, so it was puzzling why she was having difficulty. A lump or swelling was felt behind the head on one side, but when you're not expecting two heads, it's not something you would think would be there, end quote. Well, yeah.
Okay.
And for y'all who have never been, I never was in on the birthing process of the cows and stuff, but I had it described in graphic detail to me growing up. So some of this may seem odd to y'all, but
I don't know. I watched a cat give birth
cows
in
is different.
person.
Cows is different.
I know, but I have watched the videos of the cows giving birth.
Yeah, it's interesting. Farmers go through a hell of a lot, and when you see what they do, it makes you appreciate.
Watching anything give birth is interesting.
Anyhow.
Why is that? As a kid, I'm sitting there.
Because it's part of the cycle of life, and it's not abnormal, no more so than anything dying is abnormal.
Comforting the animal.
Yeah. And the farmer said, quote, as it was dark, windy, and snowy, it wasn't immediately apparent that the calf had two heads, though it was evident that something was different. The calf's body was small, what we would expect with the bull this heifer was bred to, but the head seemed unusually large. It's hard to comprehend what you're seeing when you're not expecting what's in front of you. Even then, it took a minute to process. Were those two heads? It was a bit shocking when it finally sank in that there was a two-headed calf lying out there. I kept watching the short video clip of it over and over again, end quote. And Leslie also said, quote, we have never had a birth like this that we know of. It happens when an embryo tries to split into two separate embryos, which would create identical twins, but the split never completed. It isn't something that is genetic, so I understand it's a rare occurrence. From what I can find, conjoined twins occur in roughly 0.039% of bovine births, which is 1 in 2,500. So that's a pretty large number, but not totally.
Yeah.
When you think of how many thousands of head of cattle is born, you know, so it's rare, but not that rare.
Yeah.
And she says, my agricultural science teacher in high school had a stuffed and mounted two-headed calf in his classroom. It was very old and moth-eaten at that point, but interesting to see. I never expected to see one in my lifetime, end quote. Maybe she can donate this one. I don't know. And delivery itself was difficult due to the mutation.
That two-headed calf. I want that on display.
Obstetrical chains were attached to the calf's front legs, and at first it was pulled by hand with each contraction, but it wasn't enough, and a calf jack was soon brought in for a stronger pull. Leslie stated, quote, it took 2 men to get the calf out, end quote.
Why are we sitting here describing a cow's birth, a two-headed cow's birth?
Because it's important. That's our cup of coffee today.
I just want to hear about the two-headed calf, not the birthing of the cow.
Well, that all goes together. It says, sadly, the calf did not survive, but the farmers found a way to protect the mother from the pain of loss. And Miss Hunewell said,
they made a two-headed calf doll.
Maybe. And she said, quote, "We had an orphan calf that was being fed on a bottle, so we grafted the orphan onto the mother, and they were both very happy to have one another. She was a very attentive mother," end quote.
Aw.
And,
Okay, that's kind of sweet, though.
well, yeah, because
That's
having
really
to bottle
sweet.
feed a calf, that's time consuming.
Yeah.
And as far as when the cows and the babies, yeah, there's farming. It's how it's done, and this is why some of these peoples from urban areas that know nothing of the farming process need to stay in their cities.
Yeah.
Let the other people take care of it. But this was actually a really well formed. The two heads were very well formed. I'm sorry that it didn't. Even if
Yeah,
it
they're
had
prominent.
survived, it wouldn't have survived long.
Yeah, no, they do not last, which is
But-
sad.
Well, it's just
There's not a single grown adult two-headed cow out there.
no, it's an anomaly, and it's like we had watched that one video, and the vet had explained that a lot of times when you have an animal that has this kind of a birth defect, there's usually something else wrong.
Yeah, there's a multitude of other things wrong with it. Not
So-
just the fact that its head is deformed.
Right.
It's usually got also like heart conditions and stuff like that.
Yeah, there's a lot of things. It's not just, you know. And I don't know if that's true of some of the human conjoined twins, whether a lot of, I know that some of them can have some severe medical issues, but I don't know
there
that
was a
all
whole
of them.
TLC show about this two-headed twins.
Was that the one where they were conjoined at the head?
Yeah, no. It was literally like one body, two heads.
Wow. Wow.
And they were sisters.
Well, I would hope.
And so, but I'm just telling you, like, who they were. I don't remember their names, but
Oh my
they were
God.
sisters.
What
and
would
like,
happen if
and
one
it
was male and one was
it was
female?
on TLC, and it was like so cool. Well,
Yeah.
it could have been like male brothers.
I know, but I'm saying, what would there ever be the possibility? There's no way that it could be one part was female and one part was male, could it?
I don't know. I don't
I mean, it's
care.
just interesting. I have questions. I have questions.
I don't know, but like personal.
See, I've blown his mind. I have blown
Ah.
his mind. I have blown his mind. But these people,
I don't know
it's
what I was gonna say
interesting. He was
now.
talking about that they had the TLC show that
Yeah,
described their life and
but
stuff.
you should watch that show.
I would be willing to.
Discovery Plus. I don't got the monies to pay for that anymore,
Well,
but
no,
like
not
it's
at
all
this
right.
point.
But like at some point, Discovery Plus, it's on there because the TLC.
Well, when you watch some of these shows,
But it was actually there's clips of it on YouTube.
Right.
I can just show you the clip reels.
okay. But when you see other people's lives, that they are different, that they have different challenges and stuff, for me, it makes me appreciate them, but it also makes me very grateful that I don't have the same challenge.
But that makes me wonder, like, why is it with humans? Humans can survive that long, like longer, but animals they can't when they're conjoined.
Well, this was a matter of, well, with where it has the two heads and it is a calf,
Yeah.
I think that part of it had to do with how heavy the head would be
Just
in
hold it.
comparison to the rest of the. You can't go around with a head sling on a calf. That is not practical. I mean, what are you going to do?
sure
Have a
as hell
hoist
can.
on it?
Yeah. You have like this weird metal
was
cage
like-
around it with a sling on it.
Oh my God! And it's just like they were-
1950s medical contraptions. Actually, no, that's
Oh.
like early 1900s, not quite 1950s, but 1900s.
But this was interesting that they're
Along-
calling it
Maybe
obstetrical
a
chains.
little earlier.
Obstetrical chains, because this is how this. I had a cousin that they had a dairy farm in addition to this other stuff.
Yeah, but you know, like that fucking thing that they put the child's heads in, that head clamp, and they just hang there to straighten out their spine.
No,
Yeah, they do that.
no, I'm not aware of that at
Just
all.
put the fucking cow in one of those.
I don't think that would have helped the situation.
It would have. It just rolls along right with it.
But
The child
anyhow,
can walk with it in it if it wanted to, but most of the time it just hangs there. Willingly.
God, that sounds like one of those
It's
horror
literally
games
like
that
a
Markiplier
ring
plays.
around its head.
I
Like
don't
the
know.
top of its head, like the crown.
I have no idea. I will have to go and research that because I'm not familiar with that at all. Anyhow,
Oh, now I've blown
with
your
the
mind.
birthing of the calves. And it's like they're talking about the obstetrical chains because I actually have some understanding
What
of
the
this.
fuck does that even
There's
mean?
prob-
Dumb it down for us idiots.
Chill, just a minute, bring it down and I will. What that is if a cow is having a really hard time birthing the calf, a lot of times the calf will be too big for the cow and stuff. Sometimes it's a young cow, maybe first calf. And so the birthing process is harder. So what happens on a lot of that, they have to put the chains around the legs that are emerging. And around here, they must have had some kind of hoist or something to try to pull the calf out.
That's horrible. But
Well,
I know
that's
what
just
you're
how it's
talking about.
done. That's just how it's done.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
And
I've seen that.
Tractors, different things like
Yeah,
that. I mean, it's not like
full
they
on.
go out full throttle or anything like that. Because if
Nah.
you lose a calf, if you lose a cow, that's money.
But it certainly takes a lot of people.
Yeah. Yeah, it does. And that was what
You have to have at least 5 people.
Well, that's what the lady that was, the article was written about. She said that she had to go get help.
Yeah.
And it took 2 men to help, finally get the calf out.
Mm-hmm.
Because, like I said, not only did they have the loss of the calf, but they could have had the loss of the heifer also, of the cow. And that's monies. And it counts. When you're farming, it counts. And then if if the calf is breech, then usually the farmer has to turn the calf.
Which means sticking the arm in it and like actually physically turning the cow. Yeah. Dirty jobs. Taught me a lot.
Absolutely. Micro is an amazing human being.
Yeah,
he's a very humble man.
I really like Micro.
Yeah.
And he's a Pisces too. I like him.
He goes in there in an effort to show what other people do.
Yeah.
And he treats these people with dignity
He's a
because they deserve to
humanitarian.
be treated with dignity.
He's a humanitarian. I really think that.
I just think that he's a person that is interested in what other people do.
Yeah.
And I think that anybody that does that, it's not that idea of
He's
I'm better
humble.
than you.
He's humble.
Yeah. Yeah, he seems like a really good guy.
Yeah.
But
very low key, down to earth.
Yeah. Farmers appreciate them.
Yeah.
Because even if it's not birthing a 2-headed calf, anytime you're dealing with livestock of any kind, you're always going to have stuff.
Yeah.
Even if you're just raising vegetables, the vegetables, then you're going to have problems.
That at the same time.
Because then you have to worry about some kind of pest.
Mm-hmm.
Plants get diseases, all that stuff.
Yeah.
So, and these people,
we had to spray the cabin today. Speaking of pests and diseases.
Okay.
And getting the cat sick with the pet spray, I asked about which one would be better.
What? To get them sick?
No. That would prevent them to get sick.
Right. And that's probably...
Prevent them from getting sick.
What we're probably going to have to do is put them all in the basement for a day, go ahead and spray the outside, and then when it dries and stuff...
The bottle's in the back of the truck. It's just got water in it, but that's the brand he recommended.
Hopefully they will increase his ADHD medication soon. I've got a call about that.
How dare? How dare?
Have coffee. That's what helps in addition to the ADHD medication. That helps me.
How dare?
It helps me. So, I don't know how that came into the farm and the spraying of the cabin, but...
Because it's a farm.
It once was.
It goes into...
It once was.
It goes into the farming and the upkeep and all that.
Well, hopefully the guy will actually put cattle back in there rather than that, or he's
and
going
you
to have to
said something about
it.
spraying.
I was talking about, like, food production, those types of crops, because people go into a supermarket and a lot of them
Well,
have
there you
no
go.
clue.
Well, there you go. You lost track, because, like, mine went in fine.
Okay. Appreciate you,
Insecticide?
farmers. Appreciate you, farmers.
Ins-
Anytime you got food, somebody grew that.
Spraying the pests.
Okay.
We sprayed pests up at the cabin.
Okay. I'm with you.
That's a
I'm
segue.
with you. Okay.
Very.
Final.
That is a very
Okay.
acceptable segue. Thank you very much. But yeah, support your farmers.
Final thoughts.
I think they're all gone now. Why?
The thoughts
Yes.
I think they're trying to get rid of the farmers. In some areas up there, one of those Nordic countries and stuff, whoever's even dared do something like that, that is not a human being that's fit for society.
Yeah.
If you've had experiences with the supernatural, the paranormal, encounters with UFOs, aliens, cryptids, interesting two-headed beings, it doesn't matter what kind of being it is. What if insects? No, they're not. Egg things can't do that, can they?
No, but they look very fucking weird all of their own.
But I'm just saying, as far as it's an embryo, of course you have double yolk eggs. Like I said, this
They
is how
can
my
multiply.
this is how my brain works. So I'm
They
thinking
can
about
multiply if they get cut in half. Certain insects can.
no, anything with an that comes from an egg was what I was thinking about. I expanded it more from just the insects, but there are the
anything with an
two-headed
egg.
turtles, and there's the two-headed snakes.
Two-headed chickens.
So I guess that things that
That does
hatch
happen.
can happen.
Yeah, that does happen.
So there's a possibility then that there could be two-headed insects out there. It's just that who would notice?
I wouldn't worry about two heads. They got 85 fucking eyes
Yeah,
on one head.
it's just a
On one
question.
eyeball.
It's just a question. This is how my brain works. It's busy in there. I'm going to ask about my ADHD medication tomorrow too, because it's needed. Anyhow, you can send us an email, cupofcoffeewithscream@gmail.com, and the email address will be there in the description box. If it takes me a while, rather, to respond to you, I will eventually get back to it. I mean, it's not intentional. It's just shit keeps going sideways.
Yeah.
Link to the article will also be in the description box.
Yeah, and if you like this video, don't forget to like, share, comment, and most of all, subscribe, and click that notification button for daily notifications of our daily uploads. Thank you all, and have a good.
Have you ever heard of a case of somebody that's born with two brains inside of one skull?
No, but
What if
I've heard
that's
of
ever
I've
happened?
heard of somebody having two irises,
Yeah, I've heard of that.
and I've seen it.
Yeah. In real life?
I've seen the actual photos.
Well, that's different than just real life. But I
Not in
wonder,
real life.
I wonder if
That's
there's
a rare thing to happen.
Rabbit
There's
holes.
contacts to make that.
rabbit holes.
There's eye contacts to have that like a thing.
Well, I mean, you think about it. If it's one of those, what am I thinking of as far as the type of twins that have been absorbed? Is it possible that somebody could have two brains inside their skull as part of an absorbed twin?
What if they're both smooth?
I'd say more than likely that would happen. Anyhow, know that you're loved, and Lord willing, we'll see you on the next cup.
Bye.
Bye.